Finding a quality historical TV show to watch can be difficult as there are such a large number of history-based shows available, but not all of them are made well or worth watching. Therefore, I have created this list of top 5 historical TV shows on Amazon Video so that you will have some great shows to watch if you subscribe to the streaming service. At number 5 we have Outlander, a show that takes place during the era of World War II and 18th century Scotland. The show begins with British Army nurse Claire Randall, who aided soldiers in World War II, enjoying a second honeymoon in Scotland with her husband Frank, who is also an MI6 officer trying to begin a new career as an Oxford historian. While on her honeymoon, Claire manages to time travel back all the way to 1743 in Scotland. She finds herself in a mysterious and dangerous world where her freedom and life are constantly threatened. To ensure her own survival, she ends up marrying Jamie Fraser, a Scottish warrior who is an ancestor of her current day husband Frank. Claire finds herself falling in love with her 7th century Scottish husband and is caught between two vastly different men in two different lifetimes. This show is interesting because it does a good job of portraying the struggles of 17th century Scotsmen and their society and culture, but it also does a great job of blending the romantic elements of the show with an interesting storyline filled with suspense, action, and adventure. There are currently 3 seasons of the show ready to be watched on Amazon, and it is a great adaptation of Diana Gabaldon's best-selling book. At number 4 we have a unique take on the World War II era TV show called Man in the High Castle, which provides a fictional take on what the world would be like if Nazis won World War II instead of the Allied forces. This series is based on the 1962 novel of the same name by Philip K. Dick, in which the Axis powers have won World War II with the eastern half of the United States belonging to the Nazi Reich and the Japanese Pacific states taking control of the western parts of the continent. The series follows 6 primary characters whose destinies intertwine after they come into contact with a series of propaganda films that show a very different history from their own, and they take great risks to get a further understanding of what these propaganda films might mean. The Axis powers are desperate to destroy all these films as quickly as possible and will use any means necessary to ensure all people who know about these films are eliminated. I recommend this show primarily because of its unique premise and the fact that nothing like this has ever been attempted before on the small screen. The show starts off a bit slow, taking a while to establish the world and all the characters' backstories and personalities, but it does really start to pick up towards the end of the season, and Season 2 establishes the storylines even further and continues to develop the show into a must-watch show for any fans of wartime TV shows or alternate reality TV shows as well. And number 3 is the TV show Versailles, which focuses on King Louis XIV of France and his decision to move French court from Paris to Versailles in order to combat the revolting nobility which is secretly trying to rebel against the monarchy and place their own candidates on the throne. The nobles have been forced to move to Versailles, begin to view the city and its palace as a prison, and also begin to view the king as unstable and unreliable, with even the most trustworthy and humblest of courtiers getting involved in the politics, secrets, and wars present in the French court. This show is suspenseful, intriguing, and at times a brutal and vicious show to watch, but it does have a large list of flaws to accompany it, primarily the fact that none of the characters are very relatable or interesting, and the fact the show overuses nudity to keep viewers interested rather than trying to develop a bond between viewers and the characters. It does have an interesting overall plot though, with many subplots that usually fit well with the overall storyline, but it does seem to be all over the place at times, with things moving at a rapid and confusing pace, especially during the initial first few episodes. But it does find its footing about 4 or 5 episodes in, and once some of the subplots of betrayal and political power plays begin to be revealed, the show does become much more interesting, and I can happily recommend this show to anyone looking for a great historical adventure which does not take itself overly seriously. At number 2 we have Black Sails, a great show based around pirate culture and society, which is set about 20 years before the events in the book Treasure Island and takes place during the golden age of piracy during the 1650s to 1720s. This show focuses primarily around Captain Flint and his crew on their quest to find Urca de Lima, the Spanish treasure that all pirates are searching for, which was actually a real part of the historical 1715 treasure fleet. This show also follows the pirates' fight for survival of New Providence, an island which is a pirate haven and a place where pirates can trade and sell their stolen goods. But since most nations have declared pirates as enemies of all mankind, their livelihoods and way of life are threatened, and results in pirates following their own doctrine of war, which is to seek havoc on all those who would aim to destroy their lives. There are several well-known and famous pirates who are featured in the show, such as Anne Bonny, Blackbeard, Benjamin Hornigold, Jack Rackham, and Charles Vane. This show has a great plot, interesting multi-dimensional characters, and establishes a realistic and fascinating world which engrosses the viewer and makes them want to continuously watch one episode after the other. I cannot recommend this show highly enough, and I encourage anyone who has any interest in watching a fantastic, action-packed show with lots of plot twists to give this show a shot. Whether or not the history of pirates is something that interests you, I can promise this show will be one of those that you will want to continuously binge watch. So now the top pick of this list of best historical TV shows on Amazon is Vikings, which focuses on the rise of the legendary Viking Ragnar Lothbrok from a humble and inquisitive farmer to a feared and respected king. The first season focuses on Ragnar and his various raids into England to bring new wealth, fame, and glory to the Vikings of Scandinavia. Ragnar and his family are all ambitious, ruthless warriors and intelligent strategists, which allow them to quickly rise up the ranks from farmers to Scandinavian royalty. This show has a primary storyline of Ragnar and his desire to explore more of the known world and bring prosperity to his family and his people, but there are also many other subplots focusing around Christians' response to Viking raids in England, political intrigue in both Viking and English court, and the battle of pagan god versus a Christian god. This show does a great job bringing Viking culture to life by actually trying to emphasize the influence of religion and the gods in the lives of Vikings and how their natural curiosity to explore and conquer has shaped the world the way we know it today. This show does a great job of developing all major characters as the viewers see characters make a variety of difficult and challenging decisions, resulting in the show having very few good guys or bad guys, but just a plethora of great characters who make the necessary decisions to ensure their own survival and the survival of their own culture and traditions. I highly recommend this show to anyone who is even slightly interested in Viking history or enjoy dark and gritty shows like Game of Thrones or Spartacus, as this is a fast-paced show with great storylines, fascinating characters, and huge epic battles with lots of violence and brutality. Lastly, I would like to say thank you for watching and listening to this list of top 5 TV shows on Amazon Prime Video, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If there are any TV shows you think should be added to the list, feel free to leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching History Spark, where we aim to spark your interest in history.